All right, so for this question here, I know a few of you were unsure of it, but sometimes what you have to do with these contest problems is look at this example they give you. So they define what the sum of the cubes of the digit of n means by giving you this example of the number 569. So it just means take each digit, cube it, and then add them together. So for the 153 then, you just take each digit, again, 1 and cube it, 5 and cube it, and 3 and cube it, and add them together. So 1 cubed is 1, 5 cubed is 125, 3 cubed is 27. You add those together, you get 153. So that is the answer to that one. Okay, this one here, so they're telling you that 3 of the B's, so I'm going to actually just write that out, 3 brums is 5 crumbs, so I'll call that C's, okay? And then later on they tell you that 2 C's is 9 D's, right? So 2 C's, we could replace these 2 C's with 9 D's and these 2 C's with 9 D's. And then there's only 1 here, so let's replace it with 4.5 then, right? Because 1 is half of 2. So now we have a new equation where we can say 3 of these B's is going to be equal to 22.5 D's. Okay, so what would 1 be then, right? So to get 1, we just divide by 3, and if I divide that by 3, I divide that by 3. So 1b, that's going to end up equaling 7.5 D's. So then 2b's, right? I just multiply by 2 then, right? I multiply by 2 here, I multiply by 2 here. It's going to be 15 D's, and that is the answer to the question. How many drums are equal to 2 brums? Right here, 15. Okay. All right, this one, excuse me, was pretty tricky. A lot of you forgot that a whole number includes 0. So a lot of you gave me the answer of 6 when the answer was 7. So they tell you that 3x plus 5y is 100. There's a few different ways to answer this question. I feel like a lot of you probably did guess and check. That's okay. I'm going to use some algebra, so I'm going to solve for x. So to solve for x, I'm going to bring my 5y to the other side, and then I'm going to divide by 3. And then I'm going to use some factoring here, which is just looking on the top and seeing that, hey, 5 goes into both of those numbers. And so 5 goes into 120 times, and 5 goes into 5 once, or 1y over 3. Okay, so what this tells me is that this part here, I'm going to focus in on this part here, has to be a multiple of 3 because it's divisible by 3 here, and the answers are whole numbers. The 5, don't really worry about the 5. So the part I've circled in blue has to be a multiple of 3 in order for the top number to be divided by 3 and get a whole number. Because we know 5 can't be divided by 3. So it has to be this part in blue. So let's just focus then on that part in blue. So 20 minus y must be multiple of 3. And we also know that y has to then be less than or equal to 20. Because if y was like 30, we'd get a negative number, not going to be a whole number. Okay, so then I'm literally just like testing out numbers. What if y was 1? What if y was 0? What if y was 2? What if y was 3? So if y was 0, won't work because 20 is not a multiple of 3. If y was 1, not going to work. 19, not a multiple of 3. If y was 2, oh, I get 18. That is a multiple of 3. And I'm literally just going to start writing 2 works, 5 works, 8 works, 11 works, 14 works, 17 works, and 20 works, because that's okay to have like 0 there. So in the end, I have 7 pairs of numbers, because if these y's work, there will be an x that will go with it, but I don't really need to worry about what the x is because it just asks me how many solutions are there. So there will be 7 solutions. Can you probably approach this differently? That's totally fine. The most common error I saw, a lot of people, as I said, did answer 6 instead of 7. I think that's because you left off 0 as one of the possibilities, and 0 is a whole number. All right, so this one is a bit tricky at first to think about. But what you hopefully, maybe not now that I'm telling you, maybe you might have noticed is that these 2 fractions are reciprocals. So the one on the left is the reciprocal of the one on the right, which means we just flipped it. So let's review for a second. What does a reciprocal mean? So if this number was 4 over 3, then the other number is 3 over 4. It just means flip. Okay, so we know that they are integers. So we can't use 4 over 3 because that's not an integer. So let's erase that. All right, so let's think, oh, well, like, would 2 work? Well, 2 is like 2 over 1, which means its reciprocal will be 1 over 2. Oh, not an integer. So 2, this is an integer, but this one is not, so that's not going to work. And guess what? No matter what number I choose on the left, if it's 3, if it's 4, if it's -2, if it's -5, when I do the reciprocal, I'm always going to get a fraction. The only number that will work is either 1, because 1 over 1 becomes 1 over 1, or -1, because that will also become 1 over 1. So my only two possibilities for the answer on the one on the left or the one on the right are +1 or -1. So let's test that out. What if x minus 12 over x plus 4 was equal to 1? So remember, that's like 1 over 1. I can cross multiply. That just means I'm multiplying these two and I'm multiplying these two. I get this. I can move my x's to one side, move my numbers to the other. I get, oh, wait a minute. I'm not going to do that. Well, I can do that. I should have recognized it earlier. I'm going to show you. Here I get 0, though. And 0 can't equal 16. So this answer is not possible. I should have recognized that right here because x minus 12 doesn't equal x plus 4. So I should have known it wasn't going to work, but I've proven that it won't work here. Okay, so I know that 1 is not going to work. So let's try, what if it was equal to -1? Again, I'm going to cross multiply. That's like over 1. So I get x minus 12 equals, be careful here, because that is what I'm going to end up with, -1 times. So it'll be x minus 12 equals -x minus 4. Now when I bring my x's to one side, and I bring my numbers to one side, I get 2x equals 8 and x equals 4. That is the only solution that is going to work. Again, some of you might have done some guess and checking, totally fine to do that. It's just there's a lot of numbers to guess and check, but as you were guessing, you might have recognized some patterns that you were seeing about why some of the numbers weren't working. All right, this one I think also messed up a lot of you. So these 2 by 2 squares, so if it's 22 by 36, I could use 2 by 2 squares to fill in that space. It's probably not going to be the most efficient, though. I can also use these L-shaped ones, but the problem is I'm going to end up with like weird combinations. So what you want to think about is taking this L shape that's here. So there are, I've not drawn that well, but 3 and 3, okay? And then thinking about having another L shape right beside it. And again, I'm not probably going to draw this super well, but there we go. And when you do that, what you end up with is a 2 by 2 in the middle here. So basically, I have covered a 4 by 4 space using 3 tiles. If I were to just use the 2 by 2s, I would have 1 there, 1 there, 1 there, and 1 there. I'd have 4 tiles. So this one is more efficient. Okay, so keep that in mind. I want to use as many of these as I possibly can. So this is 4 by 4. So now you picture like something that's 22 by 36. If this is 4 by 4, 4 goes into this. Okay, so I can have, that's going to work out quite nicely. 4 does not go into this. So I'm going to end up with something like this where 4 goes into 20. So I'm going to fill this space in here with a bunch of these. And I'm actually going to have 9 going this way, and I'm going to have 5 going this way. So I'm going to have 45 of those tiles. 45 of these ones that were 3 tiles, right? The shape, 45 of this shape. And that's going to be 135. But I'm going to end up with this space here left over. all in here, which is 2 by 36. That's left over. But I can fill the 2 by 36 with these 2 by 2 tiles. I need 18 up here. I'm going to need 18 2 by 2 tiles to fill that remaining space. So really, the number of tiles I need is going to be this 135 plus 18, and I'm going to get 153. So that is the answer to that one. Again, don't worry about how you did on these. Some people get 0, some people get 5, some people get 4, 3, 2, 1. It doesn't matter. Hopefully you've learned something through watching this video so you won't make those mistakes again, or now you know something you didn't know before.